Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about creatures of Warhammer 40K as we get into the Corpse Crawler. Another creature not born from the warp. It's just freaking weird. It's just biologically weird. It creates zombies in a way. And if you want to get a little bit more background knowledge on where these creatures live, check out our daily life on a cemetery world, I think it's called, or 40 Facts on a Cemetery World, or Cemetery Planet, to get more information on that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and of course, if you have any suggestions, comment down below and we'll create a video for you. But with that said, let's get into 40 Facts on the Corpse Crawler. Corpse crawlers are large worm-like parasites found mainly on cemetery worlds. They make their way into dead bodies, wrapping their grotesque forms throughout the corpse's innards and around its spine. Crawlers are able to motivate the invaded body using bioelectrical jolts, animating it like a horrid decaying puppet. For unknown reasons, they seem to prefer the corpses of sentient beings. Instinct drives them to gather and use the host body to dig a large pit in the soil, wearing hands down to the bone in the process. Once finished, the creatures then direct their host inside, where the crawlers release a caustic acid that putrefies the corpses in minutes. The creature gestates in the rotten swamp of liquefied flesh and floating bones, growing fat and bloated. Finally, the worm bursts, each releasing dozens of spawn to grow until ready to seek their own host corpse, leaving behind nothing but a pile of sticky bones. When a corpse crawler is obstructed in its instinctual mission, it fights back, using its host body, with strange, jerking motions. If threatened, it could also spray its acid, usually from the host's mouth, to inflict terrible damage. If deprived of corpses, the creatures wrap themselves around skeletons and hibernate until disrupted, or they sense decaying flesh. If they cannot find corpses to inhabit, the desperate creatures attack the living, favoring the sick and decrepit, and attacking with lamprey-like mouths filled with dozens of sharp, jagged teeth. And those were 40 facts on the Corpse Crawler. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's interesting because these creatures, at first glance, like when you first see the thumbnail and you hear what they are, you think, oh god, they're basically zombie creating worms and it's horrible. But then when you break it down, they're not actually that bad. They seem very beneficial for the Imperium. I'll tell you why. Within the Imperium, there are cemetery worlds. If you haven't checked out our 40 Facts video on cemetery worlds, I'll give you a quick synopsis, but basically it's the Imperium takes a moon, takes a planet, and just designates that as the planet to dump their dead in. Not like you're throwing trash away, but it's like a huge cemetery where like there's tombs and huge structures, and they're basically like tomb worlds, minus the Necrons. And it sounds really badass, and that's where these corpse crawlers come from. But if the Imperium has to do that, if they actually have to make space for the dead, that means that a regular hive world is in need of space. The reason that the dead aren't going in the hive worlds or aren't going in the civilized worlds, then it's because they suffer from the need, or they suffer from a lack of space. They don't have enough space, which is actually something that I talked about in the cemetery, or the other 40 Facts video, the one about the cemetery worlds, is that here in the real world, that's a problem that we're facing. I watched a documentary, I think it was a Vice documentary, that was talking about cemeteries in certain parts of the world. They don't have enough space for the living, let alone the dead. So what they do is, if someone dies, they have the funeral, they do the ceremony, they do all that thing, and then they put the body in the cemetery, or in the catacomb, the tomb, or whatever. And then 5 years later, they contact the family. They say, hey, your loved one, his remains are still there. Do you want to keep him there? Are you going to pay us, or can we remove them? And if they don't have the money to pay, or if they just say, no, you can remove them, then they just remove them. And now you have like a body of a person. And they say that they cremate it, but like, let's be honest, like, I bet you a bunch of people just like throw them in the trash or something. The solution to that would be corpse crawlers. So corpse crawlers within the Imperium wouldn't have to create an entire planet for keeping the dead, they would simply just use corpse crawlers on a hive world, because what the corpse crawlers would do is you dump the corpse crawler worm into the decaying body, or the body that's been there for, X amount of years, maybe 5 years or something, and then the body regenerates, digs a hole, dissolves, and then the keeper of the cemetery on the hive world or the civilized world would simply just collect all of the babies in some type of Tupperware container or something, and then wait for the next 5-year-old corpse to be up, and then you dump the worms in there, and then the cycle continues. Because that's a perfect way to solve this problem. It's a biological way, a natural way to solve this problem. There's no need to create an entire planet and ship the bodies out of the planet to the moon or whatever, because you already have the space. You have infinite space. Well, you don't have infinite space, but you have an area that's gonna be open for individuals to just... if you die, you just get melted down by these worms, and then the Imperium can even make them, seem not as bad, because the corpse crawlers are reanimating the human body, so it could be some type of like Imperial Creed, Emperor rising you up type stuff. But yeah, they seem like a benefit to me. And then at the same time, the corpse crawlers themselves, they're not aggressive towards humans unless they're provoked. So don't provoke them. Don't poke them with a stick when they're trying to dig. You don't have to pay for someone to dig the hole for you. You really just are paying someone to open up the Tupperware container and dump the worms into the casket. Teach them not to go through or teach them not to mess with the corpse crawler zombie thing, and you'll be fine. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you think that this would somehow go awry and that we would have a zombie plague somewhere on some Imperial world, tell me how it would go down. Comment down below. I really don't think that would happen. I really think that these creatures are a benefit to the Imperium, and the acid that they produce. That's another thing I didn't talk about. But if you think about it, whenever you look at any like murder story or documentary, you always hear about how they tried to dispose of the body by burning it, putting it into acid, or like chopping it up. Corpse crawlers do that for you. So if you are if you're like owner of a pet shop, you just sell these worms, and they produce some acid that can melt anything, biological anyways. So you can even destroy garbage with these. So they don't even have to worry about biological garbage, because they're like Tyranids. They just dissolve it in the mucus. Just make sure to pick up the offspring when you're done. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed my banter or my rambling afterwards. If you guys have any suggestions for other topics of Warhammer 40K, please comment down below. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.